But they put on the face because they want to be seen a certain way in this relationship. And they go in it with, I mean, it's almost mechanical, like this is the way I should be, or this is the way I should act. And that's what I'm going to do. But then when you get married, it somewhat changes because life kicks in.
Are you that desperate to get married that you would really bite your tongue, bite your lip while you're dating?
Well, I'm gonna put that on some I'm going to say some men don't want to commit. They just want to kind of play around. And, I've seen couples that's been together for 5 or 6 years or more. And
now together, not married.
No, I'm not married. No, not just dating all this time. And they don't want to make that commitment. And it just causes more problems, I think.
But isn't that all the more reason to be honest in your communication?
Yes.
Wouldn't that make you more honest instead of less honest?
Well, sometimes people don't want to start over. They've been with this person so long. They're just putting up with what they're going to put up with. And
I'm tempted to use my word again.
I know it because I kind of agree in this case.
Stupid. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
But they do it. They do it because they don't want to start over. It's hard out here. It's what I hear. More so, today with relationships, because so many things have changed. But there's some basic things that don't change.
I see people who won't communicate, won't have honest and open communication while they're dating, but then the minute they're married, they do. So and not in a good way. So basically, while people are dating, they tolerate anything. Then when they're married, they tolerate nothing. It's reverse. It's reverse. So communicate early, communicate often while you're dating, because then you get to see things. So here's a story from our dating relationship. So it's already apparent to me the Lord has sent you to my life. Okay. This is the person I'm going to marry. Now, we dated for 4 years. I'm in college one place, you're in college another place. So while we're dating, I'm about to tell the French fry story. Do you remember the French fry story?
I do.
So probably our second or third date, we're at Wendy's, because that's how I roll.
Yeah.
We're at Wendy's. I don't spare any
Where's
expense.
the beef?
I don't spare any expense. Yeah. So
it was a new restaurant.
New Wendy's had just come to town. And I wanted to take you somewhere nice.
You did?
You know what I'm saying? So we went to the Wendy's. Now, I only had enough money. You don't know this. Speaking of communicating, you don't know this. But I only had enough money to buy one meal. So I said to you, what do you want? And you said, I want the meal, the burger, fries, and a drink. So then I knew to myself, well, I can't get the meal, so I'm just going to get the burger. So we got our order. We sit down at the table. And this is early on, date 2 or 3 maybe. And I reached over. We're talking about communicating. I reached over and got a French fry from your plate because I didn't have any fries. And you said, maybe you're trying to be a good communicator. You said, hey, what are you doing? And then I said, because, hey, I'm a good communicator.
Okay.
I said, what do you mean, what am I doing? And you said, why are you getting one of my fries?
Exactly. You didn't order any fries.
Now, this is maybe not the right message to communicate, right? But I'm talking about the importance of communicating. So my response was, hey, I actually bought these fries. We could argue these are my fries. At the very best, they're our fries.
Exactly.
So I think this was an important conversation in our relationship 44 plus years ago, because when people show you who they are, believe them. Is this a woman who won't share? I mean, come on, she won't even share her French fries. How are we going to share a bed?
Exactly.
So this was a conversation that we had, you know what I'm saying? That kind of maybe set the tone for our relationship.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I apologize.
But I'm talking about.
I was really, like I say, I had this mindset, I don't know what that mindset was.
Maybe you grew up where people didn't share food. So
well, you get what you get. You eat your food that you got. You don't need.
Is that how you grew up? Okay. So see, this is the thing we're talking about. So I don't know how she grew up. Maybe it was taboo at their table to share off somebody else's plate. I don't know. But I do know how I envision us going forward. And this is the importance of communicating. Now, here's another key moment in our relationship of communicating. So I have gotten a little bit better, but I used to be really militaristic about being on time.
Yes, that's correct.
So I'm not as militaristic as I was. But here's another thing, another early on in our date communication story.
Mhm.
So I got to drive all the way over here. We're from like rural Mississippi, right? So I got to drive all the way over here to pick Teresa up. That's 40 minutes. Then we got to go to town. That's 30 minutes to go to the movie or to Wendy's.
Yeah.
Then I got to take her back home. I mean, it's a long ordeal. So I've
Isn't that
noticed.
sweet? Wasn't that sweet?
Is it sweet?
Yeah, that he would take that time to deal with me.
So I noticed after a couple of visits, when I would get there, your mom would let me in, and she would say, "Hey, Teresa's getting ready." And so the first couple of times, I don't really know how this works, right? So I'm not saying anything. But about the third visit, back to communicating, this is really bothering me. So what do? Jim, I know what you did. You just didn't say anything, and you just bit your lip.
No.
And now 40 years later, you're still doing the same thing. No, that ain't what I did. So what I said to you on like our third day, hey, Teresa, we need to talk.
Yes, you did.
Hey, you not being ready, being late, this is bothering me.
Yeah, you did. You said that.
This is a problem.
I was so in love that.
Well, and if you were so in love, you'd have been early.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know. Like I say, I didn't know it was bothering you. So I'm glad you told me. But from then on, I was on time. Correct.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I didn't know it was bothering you. So without communicating with me or to me, I wouldn't have known, and I would have kept doing it, and you would be and you would be upset.
So back
it's
to
so very
communicating.
important to communicate.
We both kind of. I'm not so iron fisted. We can't be late. Although I'm aluminum fisted. I'm still pretty. I'm not. I don't.
What I started to do is try to respect that you want to be on time, or you want to be a certain leave a certain time. That's why I always say, what time are we leaving? That way I can be on time. Yeah.
So, but I've backed off a little bit. Like the world's going to end if we're late. And then you've gotten better where you're very seldom late. So
Yes.
by communicating, we kind of met
In the middle.
not in the middle, but because it wasn't like we're late, because that would be in the middle. We're on time, but I guess here's the difference. If it starts at 7, my own time is 6:45.
Okay.
And let's say if your own time might have been 7:05. Now we're maybe there at 6:55. I mean that's we're still on time.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
we're talking about the importance of communicating, especially when there's an issue.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right. So closing out the I statements. Here's a real simple formula. Here it is.
Okay.
So I feel with an emotion right there. Okay. When a situation, because, and then give a reason. What I need is you make the request or your desire.
Okay.
Okay. So you got
I
it?
feel that's the emotion.
No. Yeah. Whatever. Right there would be an emotion. For instance, I feel anxious. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I'll fill it in.
Here's an example. I feel anxious when plans change at the last minute because it throws off my schedule. What I need is a little more notice if possible.
Correct.
So I feel when the situation, fill in the blank situation, because the reason. And then here's what I need from you to help me.
Exactly.
So I don't know how anybody could be offended at that, right? It's not accusatory. It's not personal.
Right.
It's really putting the onus on yourself. Hey, Teresa, I feel this when you do this. Here's what you could do. I would ask you to do better to help me feel different.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then, I mean, and you can go back and forth with that because maybe he has some statements or she has some statements, both of you can go back with that. For instance, I get overwhelmed when we argue late at night. Remember?